Hello, this is Chuck Ridgway, Automation Technology Manager at Horner. Thanks for joining us for another Tuesday live stream. Well, we're continuing through our series on the OCS360 cloud service from Horner Automation. Here's today's topic: alarming and notifications in OCS360. Now, alarming and notifications is a core function of the OCS360 cloud service. And last week we covered another core function, and that was dashboarding. And just like last week, there's going to be a lot of hands-on, a lot of demonstrations this week. So I think you're going to enjoy today's program. Now, before we dive into all those demonstrations though, let's break down today's topic. All right, we're going to start with our one-slide review of OCS360. And then we're just going to have a couple more slides: how OCS360 generates alarms and how OCS360 handles notifications. And then we're going to dive right into the demonstrations. But before we do any of that, just like we have all through this series, I'm going to bring in my colleague, the OCS360 guy, Mr. Don Clutterbuck. How's it going today, Don?
Having a great day. Having a great day.
Awesome. So I've already mentioned the fact in my open that the alarms and notifications is really a core feature of OCS360. And I know you've been playing with this for a lot of months, doing a lot of testing. What types of notifications have you been getting over this test period and now into the launch of OCS360?
Well, there's three types. There's the web type that will show on your dashboard. There you could have an email sent to whomever. Depending if you're the tenant or the user, and or you can get an SMS message sent to you on your phone. And I've been playing around with all three. So whenever I set an alarm, I get three messages: the web, email, and SMS messaging.
So from a email and SMS standpoint, is that included with OCS360? Is it an extra charge for that feature? How's that work?
No, it's included in 360. Emails, you have unlimited amount of emails. SMS messages, there is a limit, and that is due to the nature of the SMS messaging service we use. And overseas messaging costs a lot more than sending messages in the States. So depending on the plan you have, I think the silver plan has 100 SMS messages, 300 and 500, something like that per plan. Yeah.
Okay. So, and even if you do go over that limit, while you may incur some charges, the texts are going to get through. So if you have a critical alarm scenario, the texts are going to get through.
Correct. It will continue to go, and may be, it all depends on where country you're in and so forth. But we will look at the charges, and we won't charge your credit card on account until telling you what it is and so forth. But I don't see it being an issue here in the States.
Yeah, it seems like text messaging is pretty inexpensive here in the States. That's definitely an advantage for sure. Okay, so let's say you're out and about and you get a notification over text message or maybe email or both on your mobile device. What would your normal response to that be? What would the workflow be for reacting to that notification, to that alarm?
Well, if I had access to my computer, I would just jump on the dashboard and see what it is and so forth. There's a couple different ways of seeing alarms on 360. You could have an alarm widget on your screen. The web notification is going to be in the upper right-hand portion of the screen, or you could actually go to the alarm page and see it that way. That's if you have access to your computer. That's probably the best way. But if you're out and about, you can log into 360 on your phone. Just go to OCS360.cloud, and you will see the widgets that you have on your dashboards wherever you point it to. And you'd be able to acknowledge and clear them right there from the widget on your phone.
Nice. So that's really convenient. So obviously not only can you get those notifications no matter where you are, you can also react to them, which is obviously a big deal.
Correct. And then you could also set it up to if it's cleared by someone else, right? You could also get notification on that. on that alarm being cleared.
Okay, right. So you can stay up to date. You know, okay, Charlie's handling this one.
Correct.
Everything's been looked at. I'm good to go. I can continue my vacation.
Yes, correct.
All
And
right,
not be on your phone on your vacation. So
as much at least, right?
right.
There you go. Okay, well,
Okay.
thanks again, Don, for joining us this week, and we're going to plow right through for alarms and notifications.
Great. Thanks.
Here's our one-slide review of the OCS360 Cloud Service. Yep, it's a new cloud service from Horner Automation, making it about as easy as possible to push data from a Horner OCS to the cloud, and we happen to use a special version of MQTT. Since we have a Horner device talking to the Horner cloud, we're able to do that, and really there's almost no setup required. Now, the core functions of OCS360 are data recording of up to 5 years. That's important because you want to analyze what's going on historically with your process or your machine so you can make improvements. And you can also use that data in the future for AI and machine learning, which is very data hungry. And of course, there's dashboarding, which we covered last week, and alarm annunciation and notification, which we are covering this week. Now, if you'd like to support OCS 360, you'll need a Prime or a Canvas controller. Both of those series completely support OCS 360. And keep in mind, you can try out OCS 360 for 90 days with no risk at all. And we'll talk about that a little bit more at the end. Okay, now let's dive into alarms. Now, a couple weeks ago, I talked about how OCS 360 works. And so we had this block diagram of OCS 360 on the screen, and we went through it with a lot of detail. But now let's just look at it from the perspective of alarms. How do alarms work? Well, the main application, which I have highlighted there in the center of the screen, it is continuously receiving pushed variable data from OCS controllers in the field. Now, as that data comes in, the main application of OCS 360 is comparing those variable values against any pre-configured alarms, okay? And if anything needs to be updated on the alarm side, then basically it will update the web-based alarm page and it will generate any notifications that have been specified. So that's all done by the main application. Now, from a notification standpoint, we then move on to the main application passing information so those messages can be generated and passing those along to third-party managed services for email generation as well as text message or SMS generation, okay? Now, even though the messages are triggered by those third-party services, no private information is sent to the third party, only enough for that transactional message, whether it be an email or a text or both. All right, so that's enough theoretical. Now let's dive in and show you how to set up alarms and set up notifications with OCS 360. Let's start our demonstrations by taking a quick look at what I've done on my demo program. So here's a look at the bench with my XLW Prime. Okay, I've added a test button here for testing alarms. So let's navigate. I've got a new screen where I will have the ability, if I go into alarm test mode, to be able to simulate high pressure, critical pressure, and normal pressure. So none of these alarms are set up on OCS 360 yet, but if I hit the simulate high pressure button, then I get a pressure value of 69, which is above the threshold, and also some flashing indicators here. If I want to simulate critical pressure, the only real difference is the value, as you can see, of 72 in this case. And then if I want to go back to normal, then I can just go back to normal. So again, this is just a little bit of extra code I've added to this demo that I've been building over the last few weeks for testing out OCS 360. Now we're back here on OCS 360 looking at my dashboard. This is the dashboard I built last week, or one of them anyway. All right, I have been obviously busily logging data, or at least OCS 360 has been, If we take a look at the process history, we can see some actual data here, and you can see I've been working with the system a little bit over the last few hours, but you can see definitely the trending that occurred over the last week or two, actually. Okay. All right, we're just looking at the last day right now, but this is dashboard stuff. Today we're here to talk about alarms and notifications. So let's get to work on that. All right, so we're going to start out. We need to create some alarms. So to do that, we need to go to Device Profiles. Okay, and let's click on our default device profile. All right, and then to start the process of creating alarms, we need to go to the Alarm Rules tab. All right, and there are no alarm rules yet. We need to create some. So let's hit the Edit button and add alarm rule. Okay, so whenever we add a new alarm rule, the first thing we're going to basically configure is the message that we want displayed when the alarm occurs. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a high pressure alarm. All right, so I'm going to type in some text here. Okay, so pressure has reached a high, let me fix my typing, has reached a high level. Okay, that's what I'm going to put for the message, the text that I want displayed. That's under alarm type. Then we categorize how we want to categorize this. Is this a critical alarm all the way down to indeterminate and warning and minor and major, that sort of thing. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to put this as a major alarm on that particular scale you just looked at. Okay, so it's significant, but it's not the most critical. That's how I'm going to classify it. You can classify your alarms any way you would like. Okay, so once we have done that and picked from the severity, if you will, okay, the next step is we need to add our rule condition. All right, so I'm going to hit the plus button here to add our rule condition. All right, so let's add a key filter. Okay, under the key type, this pull down list here, we need to select time series. That's the first step. And then under key name, our list of variables should pop up, the variables that are being published by the OCS. And I have mentioned earlier, this is a pressure-based alarm. And then what type of value are we looking at with this pressure variable? Well, we're looking at a numeric value. Okay, so that's the value type that we specify there. Okay, so now we have to add what's called a filter. Okay, and in this case, I want to create an alarm which indicates we have high pressure, but it's not a critical alarm. So I'm going to say the first condition is if the value of pressure is greater than or equal to, let's say 69, that's going to be my level that I'm going to set it to. All right, I'm going to go ahead and then I'm going to add another test. So that has to be true, and the value needs to be less than 72, okay? Because this is the level or the range of values at which I consider this to be a major alarm, but not a critical alarm, okay? So that's what I'm doing here. So I'm happy with this particular filter. I'm going to hit add now, okay? All right, and so now that that's done, basically, I think I've got everything configured that I want there. Okay, so the pressure has reached a high level is the message that's going to be, is the type or the text that's going to be associated with this alarm. It's a major, what I'm calling a major severity alarm. Here's my filter, and basically, I'm going to effectively hit the check mark here to apply my changes. Okay, and now I have added to my list, I have an alarm rule that pressure has reached a high level. Now let's add another one while we're at it. Okay, so let's go ahead and add another rule. Okay, so we'll back into edit mode. I'm going to add another alarm rule. This one I'm going to say is pressure has reached a critical, or let's do it this way. Let's call it a dangerous level. Okay, Pressure has reached a dangerous level. That's the message I want to display, and I am going to call this one a critical one. Again, this is my judgment here, how I want to handle this alarming. I'm going to add a rule condition. This one's going to be simpler, okay? So let's add the key filter. Once again, time series, name of my variable, which is still pressure. It's still numeric type, okay? And I'm adding the fact that it needs to be greater than or equal to 72. That's the level I'm calling a critical level. Anything higher or equal to that. Hit add because that's complete. Okay, and I'll hit save. And again, apply the changes. I like to minimize when I'm done. So now I have two alarm rules that I've created. Pressure has reached a high level and pressure has reached a dangerous level. Now let's test this and make sure it's going to work for us. All right, so I'm back on the home screen on my application. I'm going to go to the new test screen. I'm going to go into alarm test mode, or I was in alarm test mode. Let's go back into it now. And let's simulate a high pressure alarm. Okay, so the next transmission of our controller to OCS360, we should get an alarm condition enunciated on OCS360. All right, so let's head back to OCS360. All right, and now let's go to the alarms area. Okay, and sure enough, here it is. Here's our enunciation. We have pressure has reached a high level, considered a major severity. That's how I classified it. Now I can go ahead and assign this particular alarm condition. I can also see what the status is, and I can go in and change that status. So if I want to acknowledge this alarm, I click the three dots over here, and I can go ahead and acknowledge that particular alarm. Okay. I also can add a comment if I'd like. Whatever, that makes sense to put there from a comment, I could certainly do that. All right, so let's close that. Now our status has changed to active and acknowledged. And then the next step for me would be to, once the alarm condition is no longer in effect, then I can go ahead and clear that alarm. That would be the next likely step in the process. Let's go back to our bench. And I'm going to go back to the test area, and I'm going to simulate normal pressure. Okay, so that puts it back to a normal level. So now, if I go back to OCS360, and assuming, again, that the alarm condition is no longer active, or at least it's certainly no longer going on in the machine. Now, if I go ahead and clear that alarm, okay, then it's not going to come back again because the alarm condition is still occurring on the equipment. Okay, so that's a quick look at creating a couple of different alarm conditions and also just quickly kind of verifying those. The final thing we're going to demonstrate today is effectively notifications. Okay, so we've just seen that you can have alarms notified on the screen, but what about emails and text messages? So let's set that up. Okay, so we start by going to the notification center. Okay, and the first thing we have to do is we need to navigate to the rules tab. Okay, and there's one thing we're checking here. We want to check for a new alarm. We want to make sure that this slider is in the on position. Okay, so that means that the notification for a new alarm is enabled. That's what we want. Okay, so we just need to verify that. It should be in the on position, but let's just make sure. Okay, next we're going to go to templates. Okay, and we're going to, again, look for new alarm notification, okay, under templates. Okay, now this is where we configure our information here in terms of the notification side of things. All right, so by default, web is enabled, and we've already seen a alarm notification on the web interface because we dealt with that the last time we generated an alarm condition. All right, let's go ahead and add email and SMS or text messaging. And let's go ahead and configure all this. All right. Okay, we'll hit the next button. And then by default, okay, this is the information that shows up in our web application under alarm. Okay, so it says, hey, we've got a new alarm, and then the alarm text will appear inside these single quotes. Okay, that's for each alarm. The first thing you configure is a field called alarm type, which is basically the text that you want to appear here. Then in the message itself, we saw severity, okay, detailed. Critical, major were the two that I was using. All right, you also get which entity is originating the alarm, which OCS, okay, and its name. All right, so we don't have anything else we need to do for that. We can just hit next. Now we're configuring the email side of things. All right, well, we need to fill in a subject and a message. So what I like to do is just go back here to the same information that we saw for the web interface, and let's just copy it here. So under subject, we'll paste that information. Okay, and then we'll go back again, and under message, again, I'm just doing a copy. Okay, I'm doing it with right click. You could do it with a key combination. All right, and I'm pasting that same information into the body of the message. Okay. All right, so my subject is going to be a new alarm and the alarm type, and then I've got the additional details here in the message body for the email. Next, finally, we need to configure the text message, and what I typically do is just paste in the, we've already copied it. Did I miss the paste button there? No, it didn't show up. I'll just use a key combination. Okay. There we go. So now I have pasted in that same information that was in the body of my email. That's the information that's going to be texted to me. All right, hit the save button. All right, and effectively, we're good to go. The next time we have an alarm condition, we're not only going to get the information on the web section of the alarms, we're also going to get an email as well as a text message. Let's go ahead and generate another alarm. Back to my test screen. Simulating high pressure again. Okay, now back to OCS360. All right, now let's head over to our dashboard, see if we've gotten the information in yet. Okay, we'll go to gauges. There we go. We've definitely got the higher level. What does our annunciation say here? Yep, new alarm pressure has reached a high level. Probably could have just looked there first instead of going to the dashboard. All right, so now let's see if we got an email and a text message. Let's start by checking email. Okay, and sure enough, there it is. Okay. New alarm pressure has reached a high level. It's a major alarm, and the originator is the epoxymatic. All right, now let's take a look at the text message, see if that came in. Sure enough, there we have there. Same information, severity major, originator, device, epoxymatic. All right, that does it for our demonstrations, but let me remind you what's required to use OCS360. Well, you'll have to start with the right version of Seascape, which is 10.1, and the right version of firmware running on your Canvas or XL Prime controller, and that's version 17.1. And all those files are available as a free download from our website. Of course, you'll need an internet connection between your controller, and that could be wired, Wi-Fi, or cellular. It really doesn't matter. Of course, you'll run OCS360 from a web browser like I demonstrated today, and you'll need an OCS360 subscription. Now, we have 3 primary plans for OCS360. They're all per device, and the main way that they vary is by the amount of data that can be pushed to the cloud per controller. So with the silver plan, it's 250 variables per minute. With the gold plan, it's 500 variables per minute. And with the platinum plan, it's 1,000 variables per minute. Okay, don't forget to sign up for training this year. We've got an advanced course coming up in March. I would recommend you check that out. Okay, lots of trade shows this year. We've had the WET show in Indianapolis. That's already passed. But the next one that's coming up is the Automate show in Detroit. And if there was one show to attend this year, that's the one. It's going to be the biggest and the best from an automation standpoint. But if you can't make that one, we're also going to be in Grand Rapids for advanced manufacturing. And we're also going to be at the Water Industry Show in Chicago in the early fall. Okay, there's lots of ways to interact with Horner Automation online. You can do so on our website, on our YouTube channel. We also are very active on LinkedIn. February and March are now OCS360 months. So we've extended the planned 5 sessions on OCS360 to 8. So it now covers all of February and all of March. So believe me, by the end of March, you're going to have all you need to know so you can get the absolute most out of that free trial that you're going to check out with OCS360. Next week, specifically, we're going to be covering downloading data from OCS360. So, of course, the OCS360 is recording data in the background for multiple years. But what if you want to just quickly and easily download historical data for specific variables, for specific time periods? We're going to show you how to do that next week. Okay, if you haven't done so already, don't hesitate to subscribe to our channel. It doesn't cost anything. And if you choose notifications when you subscribe, you'll be notified every time we go live or every time we post a new video. Okay, so until next week, let's get out there and do some good.